Welcome to my channel, my name is Valerio and today we're gonna review the compatible Kaiser. This is a model produced by Sentinel and belongs to the line Riobot. For the one of you that have never heard about this robot, this is one of the members of the Super Robot original generation kind of lineup. However, this was not the first appearance of this robot, as it has been before it did appear into a video game called Battlefront 4, if I'm not wrong. However, in this version of the robot, this has been kind of redesigned by Obari. So the most common version, the one of Super Robot Wars, it is the Obari version. However, this is all for the introduction. I bought this one on Amazon Japan for something like $260, something like that, give it or take it. And this is only the first part of a bigger release, because now they release the compatible Kaiser, and then it's gonna be released the G Thundergate, which is the unit that end up being his wings. Inside of it there are extra accessories, extra faceplates. However, the second part of the unit will only be sold by D4 Toys, and at this moment it is sold out. I highly recommend it if you're interested into it. Don't wait too much, buy, because as usual with exclusive D4 Toys accessories, when you cannot find them anymore when they are sold out, or after some time that they've been released, it becomes extremely hard to find them. Now, said so, we're gonna start with the review, and please remain until the end, or at least look at the end, because I will tell you something interesting about this robot. So now for accessories, we're gonna look what there is inside of it, and it looks a bit like a joke. So there is absolutely almost nothing, and this is pretty bad. There is a manual, and this is pretty important. Normally I wouldn't recommend to use it, but in this case the joints on this robot are so particular that I highly recommend that you take at least a quick look before you move it for the first time. Now we have the display stand. This is the bigger size, the same as the SRX one. There is a plug to keep the robot into air pose. Now this is in order to keep the only kind of accessory weapons that there is. It's pretty, I mean, it is well done, and these are fixed pose, and there are also articulated hands, so it's not really indispensable. However, they are for using the accessories, which is a kind of axe. This is a not light up piece for the chest of the Kaiser, because normally it has a BF on his chest. That doesn't stand for best friend by Battlefront. And this is the accessories. You touch a couple of pieces of the skirt and become an axe. I think it looks terrible, honestly, but I didn't like it. This is like a really secondary attack also in the video game, so not great. And for accessories all, this is really not enough at this price range. Now we're gonna start to look at the robot, and this is where things start to turn up for the better. Now we're gonna see our Kaiser, and as a first thing, it is imposing. It is 25 centimeters, but depends obviously how you keep the legs. If you keep them spread or straight, and from where you start to measure the head of the tip of the shoulder. However, let's say that 25 centimeter or 10 inches is, give it or take it how much it is, and there is quite a bit of heft of it. Is super rigid, like the weight is well distributed, but it doesn't need to be because of the joints that we're gonna look at it later. Anyway, it is well balanced. It is very large. This looks like a bodybuilder that has been turned into a robot in the real sense. A really small waist, really big shoulder, the legs. This obviously is a robot that reminds of all the of all the robots of Obari. However, I think it is a bit better of the one that is completely made original. I prefer this one to both the Dankuga and also the various Gravion. Not in this version, but in the pump-up version. Anyway, let's start to go where things go interesting. Now, this robot, as a sell point, it has a ton, and I mean a ton of ratchet joints. Now, it also has lights. I don't care for lights, but you can light up his chest with the BF symbol inside of it. There were no batteries inside the box, so there is also that. I cannot light up because I don't have. And now you can compress his chest so that it doesn't get in the way of articulation. As I was saying before, this has a ton of ratchet joints. I think there are 27 ratchet joints, which in most of the robot there are only 2 ratchet joints, if there are any, on the legs. And in this case, I feel like Sentinel wanted to do a really posable figure, and that you can keep in any position, and the joint will just not drop. Position will not drop, will stand still. Anyway, there is a joint at the base of the neck, and then there is a joint at the head. You can do whatever you want. And now we start. There is a joint onto the shoulder part, and now we raise the arm and we start. with the ratchet joints. Now you can raise the hand until shoulder level. However, the manual tell you please keep it by the sub-bicep once you do it. The joints are really hard, but you don't want to snap them. So you see you can move the thing. It has a pretty expanded butterfly joint, and you can see that this is some parts of the body do extract. And now it looks like it doesn't go higher. However, when I say use the manual, I meant I didn't use it. And so the arms can go way up when you go for the bicep. I just didn't show it. Now another ratchet joint, it can do the windmill, let's call it like this, but it can close more than 90 degrees. Guys, it's just the ratchet joint is connected to an extraction joint. And then you can also detach the arm to do like the Mazinger kind of shooting the arm kind of thing. It looks limited. It is not. This was just me playing with it without the manual. Big mistake. Now we can see that it can rotate, obviously, the bicep. And now another part of Real Creative. So the hands can be extracted. The hands are on a panel that can be extracted from their own position, so that the fully articulated hands can reach a better position. This reminds a bit of the Flame Toys thing, but that normally they have a panel to which the hands are attached. In this case, it is a bit more extreme. Now you can see that however I move, it ratchet. Now the waist is ratchet, which doesn't make any sense. You have to move out the belt out of the way a tiny bit. You can push it toward you. And now the ab crunch is ratcheted. Yes, guys, first time I see it. You see, click, click. It gives quite a fine level of detail, and it can also do the teapot. And that is also one way and the other, still ratchet. You can keep it with this ratchet, really, you can keep this giant into any position. The waist is ratcheted as well. We count in 3 ratchet only within the waist. It is onto the inside ends of articulation. Now, to move the legs, you have to open the skirt, which is super easy. And other ratchet, it can do the flip, and we never drop anything because these are ratchet joints. It can do the split. And this can still do it can do the split, the Van Damme, without any problem, still ratchet. Legs, ratchet. Again, this is a double joint. I'm only able to activate one, but you can activate both of them. You just have to put your finger over the proper joint. You see, I try here. It's not easy to move with ratchet, also because we are not used. The feet is on ratchet. You know what is the only thing that is not on ratchet? The wings are on the feet. This is quite insane, and I didn't show all of them, but to think that it has 27 ratchet, this thing, if I'm not wrong, also the rotation on the quads has ratchet. From articulation, this is like concept kind of level, concept proof, and it is amazing. Like, I'm loving it, but we go in conclusion to get a bit more into detail. Now for comparison, as usual, we're gonna look into our Lego dude, really tiny. It is 25 centimeter after all. Then we're gonna quickly start to look within the Black Getter by Blitzway. So Blitzway got famous because of ratchet. These are way better. So by Blitzway, it has been nice. Now we're gonna go with the Yaldabaoth, which is good. I wish they put the same ratchet over him, honestly. But Yaldabaoth is a great product on his own, so I just prefer ratchet. This is the Argan, still Sentinel, very tiny, and I like that they try to keep a bit of scale between the general and the smaller one. And now with the Getter Dragon, which is not a small robot, it does arrive to the chest, so can't complain about dimension. And now we're gonna go really quickly with conclusion. Okay, I don't know if everybody know the concept of a concept album. That is when you try to experiment with music and push up the boundaries a bit further. I got the feeling that this is this kind of project for Sentinel, where they try to push ratchet, and I'm sure they heard from their customer that they would like their figure to have ratchet so that they can keep the position without never dropping, playing without losing any playing possibility. And with friction joint, after a while it becomes software, and Sentinel say, you know what, let's try to put as many ratchet as human possible we can inside the robot. And I think this is what happened. They tried to test what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and a few ratchet inside this robot, they don't make sense. The teapot one like there are a few that really there was no need, and there are some solutions which are more interesting, like the extraction of the joints from the arm to do the biceps one. Don't make too much sense. There are better solutions, especially because the lower part of the arms, they're not particularly heavy, so there was no need for ratchet. But if you want to keep it with the sword in a horizontal position, now you can do it without worrying about gravity going to impact too much over overall posability. So normally I go pro and cons. This is I'm really liking it. I like the way Sentinel is going. Color, as usual, is fantastic. Light gimmicks, I don't like light gimmicks. I don't need them. Honestly, they are not for me. However, paint job possibility, the proportion is amazing. This dude looks bigger than how it is. The gimmicks are great. However, accessories is almost unacceptable. They could have put at least the sword inside of it, and I do understand that it's gonna be the sword within the extra model that we're gonna see on the channel, obviously, but it doesn't make too much sense not to put anything within it. Still, you have a lot of play for what it is, but it wasn't cheap, so I would have preferred if the G Thundergate model was inside the same box. Maybe raise the price by 50 bucks, let's put it like this, because by locking it behind D4 toys, a bunch of people will never see, so that kind of sucks. But for what there is in the box, it is amazingly done. I really like it, other than the X accessory, which really doesn't make any sense, but the robot per se, it is great. Really loving it. Highly recommend if you can afford it, and I can't wait for the model to get released and to get shipped. And now that's all. Please guys, like and subscribe if you like the content.